Have you ever wondered why some people are more successful than other people? Of course, some of it has to do with circumstances. Sure, some people were born literally with a golden spoon in their mouth and life was easier for them. Success came easier. They had all the chances. We all know people who just seem to be luckier than us. We could be forgiven perhaps to sit down and say, it's all about luck. It's all about circumstances. And yet, is that actually true? Now, I'm here to tell you that circumstances have actually a lot less to do with how successful we are in life than we think. Otherwise, of course, everybody who was born to wealthy parents in a first world country with privileges and automatically would have to be successful and nobody else. And of course, we all know that's not true. We all know people who rose up from unfortunate circumstances, who were underdogs, who had to go through incredible hardship, and yet they became very successful by any standard, wealthy, happy, famous. How did they do it? Because the fact is, if they can do it, so can we. Question is, how? I'm Tina Helmut and I'm a Celtic scholar, and I've made it my mission to share ancient Celtic wisdom with people like yourself so that we can use this wisdom in our own modern world to, for example, become more successful. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, because the ancient Celts knew a lot about success as well. And just like us, they were interested in being successful. And just like in our society, there were a lot of differences in how people were starting out in life. In fact, Celtic society was much more strict and rigid than our society. Being upwardly mobile, as some people call it, was much more difficult than it is in our modern world. And yet, even in ancient Celtic society, there was a way for how, for example, a base-born person could become somebody who was almost as powerful and well regarded as a king even. And in a previous video I even talked to you about this. If you remember, for those of you who have seen it, it's about the ancient profession of the ríastrad, and that's a hospitaller. And if you became a hospitaller, you were able to provide hospitality to whoever came your way, whoever came to your hostel, and you were giving them free food and drink for as long as they wanted. And that was one way, for example, how even in Celtic society people could become successful. Of course, the question is, how do you do that? Hard work and dedication is part of it, but there's something else there. And again, in the ancient myths, there is, I believe, a way shown to us how to do this. And it's a myth in which a little boy, who later on becomes the greatest hero Ireland had ever seen, that's a person called Cuchulainn, that means Culann's hound, this name. And I've told you the story of how he comes by this name in a different video. But for us here today, I want to talk to you about something that's very specific about this hero par excellence. He very much was a role model, and people looked at him to see how to become successful, because he was an incredible success by anybody's standards. He was famous, he had all the women after him, and he also, of course, was very powerful and very wealthy. So how did he do this? He has a very specific characteristic, and this characteristic even has a specific name. And this characteristic, I believe, is the key to how to achieve more, how to really become successful. And in the ancient stories, it's called this, ríastrad. Now, what does that even mean? Now, this is a difficult word, and it doesn't really matter what it means. What is important is what it describes. And it describes a specific state into which our hero, Cuchulainn, goes into when he wants to perform something specific. And it's a wonderful description that's found in the ancient tales, and I won't keep it from you because, again, as I said, I think it's the key to all of this. when he gets into this state, this ríastrad, his hair is standing up on his head as if every single hair was sort of hammered in separately, and it just stands up, a little bit like a punk perhaps, if you still remember these people from the 80s. And there was a spark of light at the end of every single hair. You would close one eye until it was no bigger than the eye of a needle, and you would open the other eye until it was as big as the opening of a meat goblet. And then he would open his mouth so wide that you could actually see all the way to the back, to the inside of him. And finally, the hero's light, which is kind of a bit like a halo, I think, sort of rose out of his head to sort of stand above his head. So what's going on here? I mean, it's a great description, and people loved it. There are different versions of this, as you can imagine, because it's just so vivid and so strong. But what's actually going on? There is incredible energy in this. There's so much energy in this person, in Cuchulainn, that even lights are coming out. The halo comes out, but also sparks of light, pure energy. And even to be able to change your physical appearance to that extent, that takes some doing, that takes some energy. And that is the key, I believe, to how to achieve more. This energy that means he now can do just about anything you can possibly imagine, and he never fails in a fight. He always wins whenever he has this specific appearance, this ríastrad. So what does that mean for us? Well, I think, of course, we are not going to be changing our appearance in that way, and I don't think that's meant here anyway. I think it's just a hyperbole to explain what's really going on, and that is that this young man changes his state in a way that he's almost unrecognizable even to his friends. He does it by having an incredible amount of energy. And when you have this energy, it changes both your outer strength and ability, but it also gives you a lot of mental power. As you can just imagine, if you have that much energy that you create fire and flames yourself. So I can hear you saying, okay, well, this is all great, but what does that have to do with me? Well, I think that even nowadays, and it's universal, this hasn't changed since the time when people were telling them the ancient Celtic myths around the fireplace. We still need energy, and energy is the real life changer. It distinguishes it distinguishes the successful people from the less successful people. How much energy are we actually using to live in our lives? And you can try this out yourselves even. I want you to stand up, if you're sitting, and then slouch down, sort of just stand like this, kind of, and feel. How does that feel? I mean, do you feel ready to take on the world? Do you feel as if, you can do anything? Probably not. Well, I certainly don't right now. And now I want you to stand up straight, head up, and look at me with energy, with vigor. And can you feel so much stronger and able? And that's just a tiny little exercise to show you how much of a difference it makes to your inner world if you do something to your outer appearance and the way you even just stand. So from this, I want you to take away that if you feel you could be more successful, ask yourself, how much energy are you actually putting in? Are you just going through the motions, at work, for example? Are you just doing the job? Or do you arrive there fully charged, ready to go, and say, I'm going to do this? And the same with just about anything you want to do. How much energy do you put into this? Do you go through life going, yeah, well, okay? Or do you go through life saying, okay, I'm going to go for it? So over the next 2 days, I want you to just try this out. See how much energy you use in those areas where you wish you had more success. And If you've done it, I'd love to hear from you. You're welcome to leave your comments underneath the video. Same if you like this video, please like it, give me the thumbs up and share it with your friends and family, and by all means sign up to my channel so that I can notify you when I release my next video.